Communicating your feelings effectively means reading body language. You talk about your feelings for several reasons. One of those reasons is the natural tendency of people to crave acceptance. The desire to belong to a group is so strong that young people who feel unloved at home will go as far as to join a violent gang where they feel accepted. Another reason for getting your voice heard is corporate advancement. You believe that if you get your message across, then you'll be able to climb up the corporate ladder and earn more money. Frequently speaking about your feelings is the best way to improve a relationship. It lets the people that are close to you know what you find important. We often share our feelings because we want to change a situation. Maybe a friend accidentally caused you emotional harm. It caught you off guard because this is not the way that person usually acts. It's so rare that you forget it. You dismiss it. Then it happens again. You see that this might become a pattern if you don't say something, so you speak up. Your idea is that you can return to a healthier place in the relationship if you talk about what happened and how you feel about it. Whatever your motivation, you want some positive outcome. You decide to discuss your feelings and emotions because you want to generate some type of benefit or reward for you, and possibly for your listener. You give yourself the best chance at doing that when you understand how to read body language. What are they communicating non-verbally? You can understand a lot about what's going on in a person's mind by reading their body language. If a person you're talking to has their arms crossed, they're leaning away from you and not presenting the front of their body, that's not a good sign. Your message isn't getting across. Either that or the message is getting across and it's not resonating with that person. You need to also understand that your body language could be sending the wrong message. Don't display anger and resentment with your facial expressions or your body gestures. Don't point your finger at them. Sit or stand comfortably with your arms at your side. Maintain eye contact, but not in a threatening or aggressive way. Nod your head up and down and present a positive facial expression when they're talking about their feelings. Talk to your listener in an environment where they're comfortable and they don't feel like they're being interrogated under a spotlight. If you want to create positive results when you communicate your feelings, be careful of your body language. Your gestures and facial expressions might be telling a totally different story than what you're verbally saying. Be aware of the body language and gestures of your audience as well. Do this and you'll have a better chance at getting your message across and creating the change you're looking for. Communicating emotions means remembering all feelings are okay. Have you ever been scared to talk about your emotions or your response to an experience? This happens to a lot of us. We're worried that maybe we're going to hurt someone else's feelings. Sometimes we get concerned we might look childish. We push those feelings down inside and try to move on. That's never a good thing. It's always best to deal with your emotions and your feelings. Give them their day in the sun. This doesn't mean you should automatically believe you're right or wrong. Sometimes we experience emotions that are incorrect for a situation. Maybe we're dealing with bad information. Oftentimes, we try to communicate our feelings with someone who's receptive as a rock. We know for this from previous attempts, so we just hide our feelings instead of getting them out. Hiding away your heartfelt emotions can cause serious physical and mental damage. It can lead to stress, inflammation, anxiety, and both physical and mental health problems. So don't think that it's just best to ignore your feelings when you really want to talk about them. The next time you want to communicate how you're feeling emotionally, remember this. All your feelings are important. All your feelings are okay, good or bad. Your feelings are automatic. The way you respond emotionally to anything is automatic. You don't plan it. This response comes from things you experienced as a child. Your history in certain situations influences your emotions. There are a lot of other factors that dictate how you feel about something at any given time. Just remember that this is not something you chose to feel. You have no control over your feelings most of the time. If you start to experience a certain emotion regularly, you can take action and try to see a response coming, but almost all of the time your emotions are going to happen automatically, with you having no control over them. That means you shouldn't apologize for them. Don't dismiss your feelings as unimportant. Understand that if you just hide them away, then you're never going to enjoy a full and healthy relationship with others and yourself. Step away from your feelings, then communicate them. Good or bad, happy or sad, your feelings are important. When you try to communicate what you're feeling to someone else, it's important to step away for a minute first. Remember your feelings. Write them down. Give yourself some time to reach a neutral state. Then talk about what you were experiencing. Remember that even if your listener doesn't seem receptive, you benefit greatly simply by getting this off your chest. The stronger your feelings, the more important it is to talk about them. Sometimes we shy away from discussing our biggest emotions. Something happens and we feel incredible sadness, joy, or frustration. We're talking extreme emotions here. We think about discussing them with someone. Then we decide that we'd better just move on instead. After all, we're at an emotional boiling point, either positively or negatively. We understand that these strong feelings could be so abrasive or ecstatic that others might have a hard time dealing with them. Sometimes we believe there are unwritten societal rules that say we can't express our emotions in certain environments. So we attempt to ignore our emotions. Better to smother our feelings instead of alienating or hurting others or even ourselves. Strong feelings need to be recognized. That's the opposite of what you should do in this situation. When you experience very strong feelings, it's important to let them out. Find that person that really understands you. They get who you are and how you're made up emotionally. Ask them for some time out of their day. Get across that you need to talk about some intense and sensitive feelings you experienced so they know what to prepare for. Let them know beforehand that you appreciate them and that they're willing to listen. They don't have to agree with you. They might be shocked by what you say. You chose them to communicate with because you feel they won't judge you in any way. Maybe you need to talk to someone about how they hurt you. Let them know what's on your mind. Then have a sincere discussion. Let your feelings out. There is such a cathartic release when you put your emotions out into the world. It's like a weight has been lifted from your chest. The monkey's been taken off of your back. Even if no one responds in a positive manner, there's something magical about expressing your feelings. It might not be easy to express strong feelings. We're not saying it'll be easy. Depending on your personality and your style of communication, it could be one of the most difficult things you'll do. You might understand that finally telling a friend about how you feel and have felt for a long time will damage the relationship. Perhaps you feel that communicating your feelings will make you look like a weirdo, a child, or a crazy person. Just remember that there are all kinds of ways to express your emotions. You should be honest with yourself. Definitely talk about what you're really feeling, but perhaps communicate your emotions in such a way that they're not as abrasive as they might be. Whatever the case may be, getting out strong feelings is important. It helps you develop a deeper understanding of yourself. Even if you're not received positively, the way you feel about yourself improves. You realize you have the courage to talk about difficult things. When you choose people who really care about you, communicating strong, difficult feelings is only going to strengthen the relationship and your own self-esteem. When you talk about your feelings, say I and not you. We communicate our feelings because we want to fix something. It's an effort to understand ourselves better. By talking about our emotions, we give others a clear picture of who we are. This allows people who understand our feelings to connect with us in a meaningful way. Sometimes communicating our feelings can get us out of trouble. We mess up on the job or in a relationship. We don't do what's expected of us. When we're given a chance to explain ourselves, our audience finds that this mistake was far from intentional. What we did came from a place of feeling a certain way and perhaps not understanding what needed to happen. No matter why you're trying to communicate your feelings, there's one thing you need to do to get the best results. Focus on yourself and not on others. If you point blame or criticism and judgment away from yourself, you make it difficult for your audience to get on board with what you're saying. Speak in the first person, not the second. When you speak in the first person, that means using I statements. A second person statement would use the word you as the subject matter. You can probably see right away what the difference is. When you communicate your feelings and use yourself as the subject, it's easier for the other person to hear. If instead you point the finger at them and say that they are what's causing your emotional distress, they may feel like you're attacking them. Here's an example. You assign chores to your children. They're in their teenage years and more than capable of helping out around the house. After a long, hard day at work, you come home to find an unvacuumed carpet, dirty dishes in the sink, and laundry that needs to be done. Your children have been home for a couple of hours. The three of them have had more than enough time to take care of these simple chores. You feel frustrated, angry, and stressed out because they didn't help you out in a small way. Don't say this. Why didn't you do the dishes? You never do the chores even though I ask you to do almost nothing. Instead, say this. I'm disappointed that you didn't get the dishes done. I'm tired at the end of a long day and I don't think it's too much to ask. You're talking about your feelings, about you being responsible for your emotions. Your children don't feel so much like you're attacking them or yelling at them. In most human interactions with children or adults, you'll get better results when you use positive energy rather than negative energy. Before you speak to someone about your emotions, phrase your talk with I statements. Avoid making your listener feel blamed or criticized by making them the subject of your statements. You'll have a better chance at getting your feelings heard and accepted and creating a healthy resolution. What Coca-Cola can teach you about communicating your feelings. Formulas and recipes are great. They work because they've been used over and over to create a predictable result. What's even better is that you don't have to do all the hard work. People have already figured out the right way to do something, and you just copy their efforts. If you need an example of how powerful formulas can be, look no further than Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola soft drink loved around the world was invented in 1886. The formula has changed over the years. Companies have tried again and again to duplicate this globally loved beverage to no avail. That's because the secret formula for Coca-Cola, it truly is secret, is only shared with a small group of people. The actual formula itself is written on a small piece of paper. It's kept in a secret vault somewhere in the United States. If you don't have access to this vault and that formula, you can't make Coca-Cola. It's as simple as that. Coca-Cola products are consumed 1.7 billion times every day, and much of those beverages are the iconic Coca-Cola drink. The Coca-Cola Company makes more than $40 billion annually, with much of that revenue coming from the drink the company is named after. Turning the power of formulas to your emotional advantage. Coca-Cola understands the incredible competitive advantage their secret formula gives them. If they were to share it with the world, their company would be on a fast track to bankruptcy. There's a formula for communicating your feelings that's arguably just as powerful. Instead of locking it away in a secret vault hidden somewhere in the world, we're going to share it with you. Here it is. Express your feelings, talk about what caused those feelings, discuss what you want to change. Here's an example about how to use this not only to discuss your feelings, but hopefully bring about positive change. I feel ignored in our relationship. It seems like you're always working and I'd like us to spend more time together. That's powerful stuff right there. You're honest about your feelings, then you discuss what caused those feelings, and finally you clearly give a solution to the problem. This is something you hope to happen so you don't experience those negative feelings in the future. Just because this formula is so simple, don't believe that it can't create wonderful change in your life. Notice there are no harsh words used. You don't blame anyone. You simply state the case as you see it, along with what you think might cause a better solution. This is effective communication of your feelings at its finest. It gives you the best chance at enjoying a different experience in the future.